easy to say, should have stole one, should have played better. Yes, absolutely. But if you're Brad and you're putting on your adjustment hat right now, what are you doing? Like, you saw what happened here, and you think, if I just do blank, we can change the outcome here. What would that be?
You're not gonna like this, but I'm gonna say it.
Play Lou Cornette?
No, you got to get Grant in there.
I thought he was going to say that.
You have to get Grant in there because with what we say about Thompson.
I'm out.
With what we say about
he threw the headsets. He's out. He threw the headsets. He's out.
This is the perfect series for Grant. I'm actually gonna dive deep into this because when you're playing Blake Griffin, when you're playing smaller Nets lineups.
Okay, go ahead.
When you're playing smaller Nets lineups, I would love him playing center because he can post up. He can play inside as he wants to. He's not going to be physically dominated out there. This game to me was calling for Grant because he can shoot, because he can play the perimeter. He can pass. He can pass if he gets into his positions. I'm ready for him to have a.
Is he still doing it? Is he still doing it?
He's still doing it.
This is good. This is good because when it happens, I can pull this back out, and you guys will go, "I didn't really mean it. We were just doing a bit."
Or if they play Grant and they get their asses whipped by 40, we'll pull this back for that anyway.
I mean, just look at the last week and a half taught us, though, Bobby. You know, like I've always been the one to say, like, if he's not hitting those threes, like it just doesn't do anything. It doesn't do much of the Celtics.
The thing is, when you're playing a Nets team with, say, Blake inside, if you want to counter Blake's minutes with Grant can post up Blake.
There's
he'll help if he's making threes.
Time out.
John,
I swear I'm not gonna. I swear I won't be mean. I swear this will be sensible. Okay.
You gotta choose one, John. You can't say we're not talking about the bigger East Finals picture and not dive into possible.
No. I stop. I swear I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna yell and scream and rant. I say it 20 seconds. I'm not just gonna say Grant sucks and stop. It's one thing to say, hey, maybe Grant could have played instead of Jabari, and that could be something. But when we're talking about the adjustment is not Brad Stevens saying, Grant.
Grant didn't play today.
Like, what else are you doing? Give me something more. You know, like, that's not the only. Brad's not going to go home and be like, Grant. That's it.
I guarantee they're going to. You're going to see Grant next game.
That's not going to be the thing that he thinks is going to tip the series. It might be something that he does differently as he's kind of messing around.
Nothing's going to tip the series. That's the reason we all picked the sweep.
When you looked at this game, what do you see them that they need to do differently?
They need to be able to play smaller, and that's Grant allows you to do that. He's versatile. He's more mobile. He can shoot, and he passes from the low post position.
Grant, it would make sense if it wasn't Grant. You know, like if it was somebody, you know what I mean?
If it wasn't Grant.
Like if it was somebody who was smaller and did the type of things you think Grant Williams could do, but doesn't do because he's Grant Williams. Like,
no, that's not true.
It is. It would make sense if Grant Williams was a different guy.
Like a Brandon Bass from back in the day.
Right. Or something.
This isn't about what Grant is because we saw Grant in college.
If he was Brandon Bass, that'd be a different story. Like, yo, sign me up, Brandon Bass. What? Like that would be.
BDB.
We saw
mid-range shot. Yeah, sign me up.
We not only saw Grant in college, where he was one of the best players in the country. Period. We saw him last year in certain matchups be an impactful player who actually had some legitimately great games just because of the skill sets he can bring to the table. The problem for Grant is that he's a tweener at this level. We know he can't play the wing, and there's very few matchups where he can play center. This is one of those matchups, and this is another reason I was actually kind of excited to see this because I think the Celtics can play smaller here, take Thompson off the floor, and they're not going to do it, which is frustrating to me because they think that Thompson's a legitimate matchup advantage with his offensive rebounding. And
I'm glad this happened. I'm glad this happened. I didn't think I would have any fun tonight, so I'm glad
this happened too because I guarantee he's going to get out there at some point and make a huge impact.
He will get out there. If you're Brad, I think the one adjustment that you're giving serious thought to, and I think it's kind of a no-brainer in my opinion, start Time Lord. Start the freaking.
Why would you start your best player? That's asinine, Sherrod.
Because I think he has an expiration.
What am I thinking? The guy that came one rebound and one block away from a triple-double in 20 freaking minutes. Why would you want that guy out there at the beginning of the game?
You may have to, but what stinks is, yes, if he didn't have the
he has a minutes limit.
You know what I was thinking though? You know what I thought about? And I don't know if it's even gonna help, but like, remember the KG program, Sherrod, John? Remember like towards the later years, 5 minutes, 5 and 5.
Yeah, the 5-5-5.
Yeah, you start with 5 because they need that energy to start off. They always need energy to start off because they're not gonna have it on their own, you know. And
I mean, they did
tonight, but you can't count on that for games.
Yeah. It's hard to argue.
This was a fluke.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with how Rob was used tonight. Every single second he was out there.
He made it further in the game.
Was game-changing, and he played 23 minutes, and he played at the end of the game. I think you got it. I think you squeezed as much as you could out of Rob. If you start him, but I would say start him to get that spark, but they actually started well. So it's really hard to argue it there.
I think they really like Thompson just completely bodying Blake, and you can't argue with that either. Blake was a non-factor.
Blake won't start next game.
Who's starting?
He will not.
Who do you think's gonna start?
I think you throw Claxton, throw DeAndre. You can throw anyone out there. Blake is a walking turnstile.
I don't think Blake. I would be surprised if I'd be equally surprised or not surprised with him starting and being a DNP-CD next game. I swear. I think they could easily just be like, we're not going to play Blake now. Like
this is the problem. Go ahead, Shira. I know what you're going to say.
I was going to say the problem with Blake being out there is that if you run even a weak-ass pick-and-roll game and he stays with a guy or switches, he's going to be at a mismatch. He can't guard a single player in this series. I would put him in pick-and-rolls every single possession because I know whatever comes out, whether he stays with the ball handler or he switches, he can't guard them at all. That includes if your boy Grant Williams played. He can't guard Grant either.
Is Nash going to be able to do that, John?
I don't think Nash will do it. That's the thing.
This is what we talked about with Drummond.
You hear that, Bobby? Grant can do good things if given the right opportunity.
I've made my statement on Grant. We'll see if it comes to fruition or not. With Blake, the reason he's out there is because he's there to be out there.
I do not hate it, Bobby.
I said that before they left. It's that John's reaction was worth it. So
I don't even want to look at
Bobby, I don't hate it. I just don't think that's the magical thing that's going to.
Well, what is it?
That's why
What's your answer? What's your answer, John?
I was asking you guys. I
gave you my answer and you didn't like it. So what's your answer?
You actually think it's Grant?
Yes. I've been saying this since last week. I love that they got the Nets because you can go small. Grant can play center and they can be more versatile. I don't think this is a good matchup because
mine is get those guys in the pick and roll and exploit or get them to switch and exploit the proper matchups.
Grant can play a little pick and roll. He's not going to finish, but he'll make short roll passes.
But yeah, I would just get away from that. Like I said, it's too many times where they just settled for shots rather than finding the matchup and taking the action. This is a Brooklyn team you should be able to have your way with.
You know what they should have done in the second half?
This bad an offensive performance is shocking. It's shocking that they did. So
you know what they should have done in the second half is gone to Pritchard because they need the offense.
I would have too. I don't know what happened there.
What's Brad's thing with Pritchard now? And this has been the whole fourth quarter of the season. He's gone away from Pritchard. Remember when I asked you guys, because this was a serious question in my mind, would Pritchard be part of the playoff rotation? And we saw emphatically on Tuesday the answer is no. When we asked that question at the end of the regular season, we were all yes, 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 because it seems like a no-brainer. This guy's one of the best shooters in the league, and they needed shooting. They needed offense in that second half.
He's got to get his feet wet.
I can't figure it out.
He's got to get his
feet wet. I don't get the Pritchard thing.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I mean, he has the confidence. I just think maybe Brad's just sort of easing him into it. I just think it's a tough stage to be on. But obviously Pritchard hasn't shown any signs of doubt for those big stages. I always talk about what he did against Steph Curry and the Warriors, taking some wild shots in the middle of one of Curry's best quarters.
Honestly, what is Pritchard? Pritchard is Kemba. I mean, he's not as good as Kemba, but he's Kemba. Like, he's a guy he's a shoot first point guard. He can handle the ball.
Point too.
He gets to where he wants to go. So when Kemba's not being Kemba,
But
when Kemba's not being Kemba, let Pritchard try to be Kemba. Like, it doesn't make sense there. Like, you should absolutely, okay, Kemba's cold. Bring in Pritchard and let him friggin' run the offense and jack some shots. They play the same friggin' game offensively, very similar. Yeah. So I don't understand why.
Well, not only that, Pritchard's much better off the ball. He's one of the best catch
and he's a great catch and shoot shooter. So you can run that off the ball.
I would like to see them try to set him up more for open threes because they're going to leave him open. You know, they're going to leave him open.
That's the issue that we talked about earlier. They don't have someone who can set the table for guys. And Marcus, if he's not doing it, because as you pointed out, Pritchard is a great catch and shoot, but
Rob will find him. Rob will find him.
That's why you start.
Him and Rob have a great connection.
Him and Rob have a good rapport. Rob will find him.
They do.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I get why they're not going to him because we've seen him struggle immensely against the Nets. We've seen him struggle when he goes against starting units, and he's small. So they can't have multiple wings and defensive versatility out there if they're running those guys. I just look at the second half where they had 4 points.
Just needed a spark.
The third quarter. Yeah. They needed a spark. And you're so right, John. Kemba couldn't be out there tonight. So you need someone to replicate what Kemba can do.
And that's what he can do. And that's where you pick it up. He knocks down a couple of threes where everybody else is cold. It changes things. It's very strange to choose to not use.
And you don't have another answer. It's not Semi. It's not Romeo. It's not Edwards. And
not for that. Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I was waiting for Bobby to go 2 chairs down and see Taco sitting there. You're going to go Taco.
I was waiting for
the bench is just.
Taco is not the answer this series.
Didn't even dress.
What I like about this series is you can try a variety of things as the Celtics just because the Nets are going to play so small and not care about the interior and size and, frankly, defense. That's what's frustrating me about this one is that you look at the Nets and say where the Celtics can hit them is on the offensive side of the floor because they're not going to guard. And to see them go through those droughts that they did in that third quarter especially was frustrating because this should be the easiest team to score on imaginable. I wanted this team over Philly because I knew what Philly was going to look like. Tatum suffocating against Simmons and getting no looks in the paint and just the amount of defensive power that Philly has just suffocating the Celtics into a sweep. Here, at least you can play with some freedom. You can try a lot of different guys. You can get open looks. And to see this game be a 37% game from the field, not great.
Yeah. Not great.
What's your adjustment? What are your adjustments, Josue Sherrod? Where would you go?
I told you I'm putting Time Lord in that starting group.
All right.
I want to because to me that's the only way that you can feel confident that you're going to get off to a relatively good start. Tonight they had a great game out the gates. I get it, but they have not done enough this year for anyone, including themselves, to feel as though that's something that can be a commonplace, a norm. But when you've got Time Lord out there, he's that dude. He makes sure everyone is eating. He's your point guard. He's your point guard at the center position. He makes sure everyone is connected defensively. And as a help side defender, I thought he was amazing today. Because you think about most of his blocks were help side blocks. He's just a great tone setter.